for sure. I'm done running from my past.
All right, guys, Marvel's back, and today we're reviewing Black Widow.
That's right, Natasha Romanoff is back from the dead before she died. Was the movie any good? Stick around, because we're about to find out.
All right, Black Widow. Billy, who's in this movie?
All right, man, we got ScarJo. You know, of course, everybody knows that. We got Florence Pugh playing her younger sister in this. All right, we got David Harbour playing Alexei, the father. And then we got Rachel Weisz playing, I believe her name is Melina, the mother in this movie.
I think this is an okay cast. I mean, I like David Harbour these days.
Yeah, see what? That's funny thing, man. I haven't been a real big fan of David Harbour until this movie. I actually enjoyed his performance in this movie better than I think I've enjoyed him in any other movie before. So.
Yeah, I don't really care for him too much in Stranger Things, but I liked him in this. I liked him in No Sudden Moves, so he's on the up with me.
Yeah, I liked him. He was okay in No Sudden Move, but I definitely liked him better than this. This is by far, I think, best for me personally, the best performance I've seen him do, and I actually enjoyed seeing him perform in this movie. Where typically I'm like, you could have picked somebody else.
And Scarlet Johansson is as amazing as ever as Black Widow in this.
Well, and Florence Pugh did a phenomenal job too as her sister. And I tell you, the only other movie, I mean, she's been in a lot of stuff lately, but the only one I've actually really seen her in is Midsummer. And Midsummer was a super weird movie. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was definitely weird and strange movie. So it's kind of funny seeing her go from that kind of role, and she was pretty helpless in that role, right? She just played this kind of helpless person in that to this role where she just kicking butt and taking names, right? The whole movie. So it was cool to see that switch for her and the dynamic and the fact that she can play both roles very well. So I enjoyed that.
So how did you think this movie started off?
So I think it started off like the Americans, you know, give it that real good American vibe to it, you know, where you got this Russian spy couple with their two kids, family with their kids, you know, or fake family, right?
Right.
You know, raising their kids, doing Russian spy stuff here in America. It hits the fan real quick, and they got to get out of there, right? So they take off and they head to where'd they end up at?
Cuba.
Yeah, that's right. They flew to Cuba. Yeah. So. I liked how it started out. I liked the beginning there. I liked how I liked the dynamic between the family and how especially with the sisters, right? You saw that real care, especially young Scarlett Johansson, how much she cared for her little sister, even though in reality it really wasn't her little sister, right? But I mean, she in that scene where she is that one guy touches her, right, and she pulls the gun off the other soldier, and she's like, pointing the gun at all the soldiers, like, stay away from her, don't touch her, trying to protect her. I think they did a really good dynamic with that, showing just how tight-knit the family was, back in 1995, where the movie kicks off, when the girls are young.
Yeah, I didn't think it was too bad. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more with them, like what was their purpose. And they get into that a little bit, but not deep enough for my liking. Yeah. And I wish we would have seen more of that kind of stuff early on. Yeah,
no, I agree. I mean, they really didn't give you too much of an idea of what their mission was. I mean, they kind of get into it a little bit, and then you kind of understand, okay, they lead you to believe what's going on later in the movie had to do with their mission when they were in America. It really didn't say it did, but the program they're working on, evidently it had something to do with that, right? At least that's what they lead you to believe. But but you're right, I really didn't explain what their whole purpose in America was, or kind of, what their mission was while they were there, or why they needed to escape so quickly. Well, they kind of explained that, but I mean, and at the end of the day, I guess it really didn't need to, right? Because it really didn't play much for the movie anyway. But
and this ties into previous movies with the Sokovia Accords and Black Widow's on the run, and they're hunting her down.
Yeah, so after that, this movie picks up, in present day, right after Civil War.
I think this is before Civil War, because this Sokovia Accords is Age of Ultron.
No, this is after Civil War, because this is where because then this is where half the Avengers have been arrested. So this is after Civil War.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, so take place right after Civil War. And, so it picks up pretty fast. It's got a lot of action, and I like that. They're trying to hunt her down, and at the same time, so you're getting two story modes here. You're getting, Scarlett Johansson's story, and then it switches over and you get the sister story, and they're kind of playing them simultaneously, like flipping back and forth before their stories actually collide, and then they're together for the rest of the movie, right?
I kind of wish they would have pulled in another Avenger into this movie, kind of like
that would have been
Ragnarok, where they have Hulk and Thor.
Yeah, that would have been really cool.
Other movies where they do this Captain America, where they throw in Black Widow and things like that. I really enjoy that dynamic, and I felt like this needed a little something like that.
That would have been cool. And then of course they kind of throw Avenger-ish type characters in there, right? Like you had Red Guardian, who was basically Russia's version of Captain America, right? So David Harbour plays him in this movie. So he was evidently Russia's one and only super soldier because somehow they get their hands on this serum.
I don't think they utilized him too much though, with
not as that role,
stuff,
right?
You know?
Yeah, I mean, you saw him in the beginning when he threw that thing out of the way before they got on the plane, right? And that's when you first realize, okay, this guy's probably got super strength. Of course, and then they showed him in prison arm wrestling guys and just, But
I was waiting for some kind of big fight to happen with him, and it doesn't ever really come.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But except and then they make him look weaker when. He's fighting Taskmaster at that one point, right? I mean, Taskmaster's pretty much, wearing on him pretty good. So, yeah, I think they were kind of inconsistent with that, right? Is he super strong or is he not? Because Taskmaster, I didn't say that Taskmaster had taken super soldier serum or anything like that. Who's one of the main villains in this, actually, who works for the main villain. They didn't utilize his strength very much in this. They didn't show him as being very strong. I mean, Taskmaster was kicking his butt. And, and there was no indication in here that Taskmaster was a super soldier, right? Because evidently Russia only had one, and it was Red Guardian. So you wouldn't think Taskmaster, even though Taskmaster can mimic.
I thought they had a bunch, but he was just the first.
No, I think he was the only one. And where the rest of them had a bunch. Yeah, I think he was their only one. So he was basically their version of Captain America.
Well, I mean, Winter Soldier is kind of like one, right?
Well, that's true too. Yeah. No, he's not kind of like one. He is one. You're right. But as far as Russia goes, I think Red Guardian was their only one. But yeah, but and there was no indication. They gave no indication of Taskmaster that this villain was actually a super soldier. So like, why was he kicking the crap out of Red Guardian? Red Guardian should have been wiping the floor with him. Even if Taskmaster is a mimic and can mimic moves, you can't mimic somebody's strength, right? So
at least to our knowledge. But
right.
I really did like Taskmaster, especially in the beginning of this, where he first comes on the scene and he's fighting Black Widow. I really like that. I like the concept of how he can mimic anyone's fighting style if he observes them. I wish they would have done more with that, though. Yeah,
I do too, because especially towards later in the movie, when he's fighting Black Widow a second time, it's a very different fight, right?
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have been,
And even when he's fighting
Red Guardian.
David Harbour, the Red Guardian, I was expecting him to like get punched and beat and then start mimicking him, but he doesn't really do that.
No.
It looked like he was trying to do a little Black Panther for a second there.
Well, he did, yeah, right? He pulled out the Wakanda spikes there.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
And then, and then the thing with Taskmaster too is I'm not a big fan of what they did with this and made him a Russian agent and all this stuff, because in reality that was never the case with Taskmaster. Taskmaster's name was Tony Masters. He was born in the Bronx. And, he just had this natural ability to mimic, and that's kind of what he went with. He's like, hey, I can make a lot of money doing this, be a supervillain, and, rob and steal and, and get rich off of it. So that's kind of how he got his start. And in this, it's not the case at all, right? And they make him a Russian agent working for the Russians here. So I don't, kind of wasn't a big fan of that. But I do like what they did with the character for the most part. I mean, it was, it worked out as a good villain.
I love the idea of him. I just don't know if I like the implementation.
Right, exactly.
So, in the early scenes, I was fine with it, but near the end, it didn't go too well, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I was expecting some much better fights with him in the end, and it just didn't really,
didn't pan out
come
like
to fruition.
That. No, exactly.
And there's even a part where like he's locked off for far too long, if you ask me, and I'm like, come on, man, this is what I came to see.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then in speaking with that, there's as the story progresses, I did like the fact that there's some good comedy in here, right? That was cool. There's some good funny moments between, and that's one thing I liked about David Harbour in this was some of the funny stuff with him.
It still fits.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, that was pretty good. I got a good chuckle out of that. But then there was a lot of scenes in this movie, kind of like how you were talking about at the end there with some of the fight scenes were just like, there's some other scenes in the movie too, like when they're, coming, like, when the sisters are coming down, there's debris falling everywhere, they're coming down on his parachute, one of the sisters is, and yet none of the debris is hitting a parachute, right? She's just sailing down with stuff falling everywhere and nothing hits her parachute, and she just, makes it down safely, and it's like, no, there's a crap ton of stuff in the sky, and, that was just pretty unrealistic, I thought.
What did you think about all the Black Widow fighting?
for the most part, it was pretty good. I thought, I mean, you typically Black Widow fight scenes are pretty good. I usually have her do pretty good on the fight scenes, and then in this with all the other female widows that are in this movie, I think they didn't utilize them enough. I think they probably could have thrown some more of that in there, because you really have the one major scene with them, towards, I mean,
they were in the middle and stuff, sprinkled in a little bit.
Yeah, but. In the beginning they were sprinkled in when they were introducing Yelena, Black Widow's sister, and then but it really wasn't. But the fighting, you really didn't see them fight much until that last scene, right? With where they're where they had that big rumble going on. So I thought they could have utilized the widows more, and kind of integrated them more and more fight scenes with them in it. But I like the concept. I like the concept of what they did to kind of explain the whole Black Widow program, right? So I thought that was pretty good. I like how that went down.
Yeah, I think that's the issue with this movie. There's a lot of great concept, but the execution needs a little bit of work.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so what did you think of the story of this? Did you enjoy the aspect?
I did enjoy the aspect of the story. Yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job putting that together and kind of explaining, Black Widow's family there. I like how they, of course, the dynamic with the whole Black Widow program and how they showed that. I liked the fact that it was a story about, family or even though it was fake family, right? But, and redemption for some of these characters, right? Some of these characters, it shows you in the beginning, they weren't good characters, right? They were horrible parents, to the kids, once everything started going down, and they kind of were allowed to redeem themselves and, get that reconciliation, so I thought that was good. I enjoyed that. And, I thought it flowed pretty well. And I think Marvel did a good job, with that aspect of the movie for sure.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Like in the beginning, Alexi's character didn't show too much love for the mom character who was like wounded. Now he just kind of like walked off and it's like, yeah, she's fine, I'm sure. So,
right, yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. But I thought the story was pretty decent. I'm just thinking like Taskmaster would have been great for probably like another Avenger to fight or something like that. I really would like to have seen him go against Captain America or something like that.
Yeah, that'd have been awesome.
Yeah, I wish he was reserved for a bigger movie.
Yeah,
well, I really was digging him, but this just felt kind of confined and small to me.
And maybe we'll see more Taskmaster in the future.
I doubt it.
Possibly.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, who knows what Marvel plans on doing with half these characters that they bring into these shows and movies.
And I really did not like how they wrapped up the Taskmaster character at all.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that either.
And it wasn't like a huge epic battle at the end. You don't get that, that's what I wanted.
No, that's what we're saying. We're saying earlier. There wasn't enough good dynamic fight scenes with that kind of of action of equals, right? It was either one person was kicking the crap out of somebody else, or one person or even like I said with Taskmaster kicking the crap out of Red Guardian. There was no Red Guardian really fighting back much. He was getting his butt kicked most of the time, and or even when the Taskmaster Scarlet Johansson fights in the beginning, Scarlet Johansson just gets her butt kicked, right, and then that's where it kind of plays differently in the end, which was that was kind of dumb the way they played that out. There definitely wasn't enough good dynamic fight scenes to just really show you people's powers, right, and their strengths, in this. But
I just wanted more in general from him, and I thought it'd been cool if they really showcased a lot of his ability to mimic people. I mean, they show him like doing like a Hawkeye thing. He's doing a very short Black Panther thing, some Captain America stuff. But I don't know. I just liked the character and wanted more. Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, they did show the mimicking with that first fight scene with Natasha, right? So he's you can tell that he's mimicking Natasha in the beginning to the point where the sister makes fun of the pose, right? And Natasha does a pose and Taskmaster does a pose at the same time. So yeah, I mean, in the beginning you see that, but then you're right. That's really the only time you really see Taskmaster actually staring at somebody and mimicking their movement and copying it. Well, except the short scene you get where he's watching on TV.
They do show him watching the Avenger
on TV.
So you're like, okay,
yeah. So and he's obviously looking at the movements and putting them in his brain as so he can use them later, obviously. But I agree though. He was definitely underutilized in this, and they could have done a lot more with him. But I mean, overall, I thought it was a decent movie. It definitely wasn't the best Avenger type movie. I'd say it's probably middle of the road.
Yeah, I think it's probably middle of the road too. It's not quite as low as Thor 2 or anything like that for me. I think it's slightly better than the Ant-Man movies for me as well.
Yeah, probably better than Ant-Man. Yeah, but definitely not anywhere near up there like Ragnarok or anything like that.
It's not a Winter Soldier for me, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. Yeah, that movie was awesome. But I mean, for what it was decent. And again, the story plays out pretty well. So I like what they did with the story. I like the dynamic, the family dynamic, and and there's a little bit of comedy thrown in there, and that was cool. I just wish they'd have done more fighting, more with the villains, and just a little more overall, right? In general,
I think they were a little bit limited with the story because this is a prequel type of movie, so they weren't like taking this franchise or universe in another direction or showcasing anything really different. There's a little stuff going on post credits that leaves you to think something more is going to happen, but it's nothing like mind blowing or anything like that. But because it's a prequel, I think they were really trying to contain it to Natasha's story. Yeah,
well, the funny thing is, I mean, it's a prequel, but it's not, right? Because it comes after some of the other movies. But it's basically a prequel to the Endgame, movie, right? So, but because really, I think that's probably the only ones that came after this was the last couple, the Thanos, story arc. But so it was prequel to that, but then it was after most of the other ones, right? Because it happens right after Civil War. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, you're right. They focus on Natasha. Well, and then the thing is too, right? So now that Natasha is dead, and they brought her sister into this arc, they gonna make her a new Black Widow character or what? And what do you think?
Well, it seems like they have future plans for her, so I wouldn't mind seeing more of her. I think it's kind of a shame Black Widow died because I really liked her character. So
yeah, so
I would probably rather have seen someone else go. But
and they brought plenty of other people back to life.
I mean, she's one of the few female characters I really like. I don't really care too much for Captain Marvel, so I really like Black Widow.
I'm not a Captain Marvel
and it's unfortunate that they did what they did with her. So
yeah, no, I agree.
And they make it seem like they can't erase that for whatever reason.
Yeah, even though they could erase other people's deaths.
Yeah,
so. We can't erase her falling off to her death, but we can erase, plenty of other people who died.
Yeah, snatching Gamora from another dimension and things like that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
why can't you snatch another Black Widow from somewhere?
Right.
It's like, I tried, can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah, but if they bring the sister in as the new Black Widow character, I might be cool with that because I think she did a good job in this movie. I liked her acting in it. I thought she brought a good dynamic to the film, and I liked her.
So what would you rate this movie?
I would rate this movie between a 6 and a 7, probably. I mean, I'll be generous and go a 7. I mean, I thought, like I said, I thought it was okay. I thought it was definitely a middle of the road Avengers type, Marvel type movie. It wasn't up there with the best.
You rated the Tomorrow War, I think, a 7. You think this is on par with Tomorrow War?
Well, it's a different type of movie. I mean, Tomorrow War for what it was, I gave it a 7, and now this one for the dynamic of this movie, I'm giving it a 7. Yes, I don't look at Tomorrow War and an Avengers movie in the same light. I look at them as completely different.
I mean, they're both 7s. Movies. They're both hit to the right enjoyment level for you.
Yeah. I mean, they're both 7s, but they're both 7s for different reasons, right? This is
which
7.
One's better?
Black Widow's probably a little better. Yeah, I'd say Black Widow's probably a little better than Tomorrow War.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I would give this movie. See, I'm debating between a 7 and an 8 because it's definitely in my mind better than Tomorrow War, but I don't know if it's up there to be an 8 with some of these other Marvel movies that I'd probably rate an 8. So I'm going to go with a 7 on this as well. Yeah,
no, you definitely can't rate it up there with some of the other Marvel movies, But again, it wasn't as bad as some of the other Marvel stuff either. So, but yeah, man, it was. I mean, for what it was a decent movie.
No, it's definitely enjoyable. I liked it. I just wish if they would have done some different stuff with the Taskmaster, that would have gone up for me.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's ridiculous they had to pay $30 for it, and Disney really needs to fix that. They need to do something with that. I mean, again, if you're going to pay the $30, then you should own the movie. You should be able to download it and own it, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't mind paying $30. I just don't like
not owning the movie.
Wedded to Disney Plus, and if I'd ever, cancel my subscription, then I don't get that.
Then you lose. Yeah, that $30 is just gone. Right. Exactly. But
I guess that's the idea, though, probably.
That's exactly what they were thinking. Yeah, as long as we, they're going to keep spending $30 for these movies, and then they'll just never get rid of their Disney Plus.
Right.
So, but hey, man, I guess it's works out for Disney. Right. But yeah, all right, guys. Well, that was our review of Black Widow. Pretty enjoyable movie. Definitely recommend checking it out. If you like us, hit like and subscribe, and we'll check you in the next review.
See you guys. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. Yes,
she is.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's some AMSR for you.
That's going in. That's going in the bloopers right there. Stick around. We're about to find out.
This is kind of like that TV show Russians. They're hanging out in America, in Ohio, in the 90s.
Did you say TV show Russians? I think you meant the Americans. But yeah.
Yeah, I did say the Russians.
That's right. You guys know what he meant. Kept going.
Kept going and messed it. That was a double mess up. You can't recover from a double mess up. I don't really know what we're doing. There we go. Called it. Nailed it.